And welcome back to the Arts Magazine show right here on KKFI 90.1 FM, your community radio station right here in Kansas City. I'm Michael Hogue, your host. A little change of tenure here. We were talking about the serious play from South Africa, Blood Knot. Now we're just going to get silly, I guess, for a while. The director of the Blue Springs City Theater production of Mrs. Bob Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge. It makes it sound like she's gone completely crazy. The director of the show, Caitlin Tormina, is with us. Is this the way? And pull the mic closer to your mouth, okay? Because we want to be able to hear you really well. Is it just a wild romp?
It is. So it's a really unique twist on the classic story. So it's kind of important to remind people that it's not going to be the Christmas Carol that they're kind of expecting. So you get a whole new take on the Cratchit character, and it just kind of descends into utter chaos. And there's all it really does. And there's all kinds of really fun moments that allude to other popular Christmas movies and things like that. So it's not a version of the story that I think has ever been done before, and I don't think there'll be one like it, honestly.
What did Christopher Durang had in mind when he penned this masterpiece?
I don't know. I think he just wanted to make a version of the story that would be fun, that would add more humor, because A Christmas Carol is a pretty heavy story when you start to really think about it. And so I think he's just trying to make it more lighthearted, make people laugh and get people in the spirit for the holidays.
Yeah, well, the theme of the Christmas Carol is people can change.
Yeah, exactly.
They can change for the better. That's one of the themes of the show. I guess this one is not like that at all.
I mean, changing timelines.
Yeah, changing timelines.
Okay. Well, there's quite a few of you here, so I guess we should get to it now. Who is the redheaded lady sitting to your left?
This is Jer. She plays Mrs. Bob Cratchit.
What's Jer's last name?
It's Jerry Lynn, Jerilyn McDermott.
Again, please.
Jerilyn McDermott. McDermed.
Okay, and you play the role of, I'm going to guess, Mrs. Cratchit?
Mrs. Bob Cratchit. I don't know how you guessed.
Now, what is this rumor I keep hearing that Mrs. Cratchit develops a thing for Scrooge?
It's a spoiler. I can't tell you. I mean, but if you take somebody and you give them 20 kids and you can't feed them, and all of a sudden some guy comes along with money, I mean...
That's just one side of the story.
Yeah, no,
you don't stop bringing children home.
You all need to pull the mics closer to your mouth.
Okay.
So get up here, and there's quite a few of you here. We have Jim DeFries sitting then to her left.
Yes.
And you play the role of Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, Ebenezer Scrooge, bah humbug.
Have you transformed yet in this story?
In the story? No.
So it's not really a sequel with a strange bent to it.
That's not a sequel, no.
Okay.
It's a whole new path to take.
So you're still the hard-nosed boss that employs her husband.
Nothing changes in that aspect. It's still Ebenezer Scrooge.
Okay. All right. Now, the young lady right in between the director and Cher.
I am Brandis Outlaw, and I play the ghost of Christmas past, present, and yet to come.
Okay. Yeah, you still go on that journey with Scrooge, or is it Scrooge and Mrs. Cratchit?
It's me and Scrooge all the way.
You and Scrooge all the way. What does he have to learn from you?
He's supposed to learn a whole lot, but apparently he just goes off and learns his own things, and that screws up with my plans. So.
I see.
Yeah.
Have you been in any Blue Springs or other theater productions before?
I have been in other theater productions around Kansas City. This is actually my first one with Blue Springs, so it's an honor.
Where have they seen you before?
So actually down the street, I was at the Warwick with Met in the Cherry Orchard by Chekhov. So that was really good. I played Charlotta. I was gun-toting governess, and I've also was a part of the Kansas City Fringe Festival down the street again at the Unicorn. So that was last year. So that was
I should have asked Jer the same question. Where have you been seen before?
I've done all Blue Spring City Theater plays. I did some stuff back in high school and when I was younger, but this is the only theater I've been with for a while.
You're still younger compared to some of us.
Well, maybe.
And the young lady whose name I don't know here.
I'm Emma Freeman.
Okay. Where have we seen you before, Emma?
I've been in about 5 other Blue Spring City Theater productions.
Now,
She's been with them for 5 years, actually.
Who do you play in this show?
I'm Child 1.
Child of... Oh, God.
And Child 2.
So you're both of them.
We're going to name her.
The Cratchits don't name all of their children. They
Oh.
just call them Child 1 and Child 2.
So they have more than the ones that we've already met.
Oh, yeah.
When did these kids come along?
Well, it's a funny story.
It's all him.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, okay. And what is your name, sir? I can't see you.
Oh, Josh Jackson.
Josh Jackson. Okay. Tell us about yourself, what role you play.
I play Bob Cratchit.
Oh, yeah.
Just a gigantic heart that some people don't understand. I'm looking at my wife.
Is it difficult having this particular wife?
I like to think that I can see the good in everything.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you really are an idealist. Much more so than the usual productions that we see.
No, absolutely, for sure. He constantly talks about how he has a big heart, but he constantly talks about how he has a big heart and that he's, an amazing guy and all this. And what started off with probably, 2 or 3 kids ends up being a lot more.
Yeah,
so,
a lot more.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
obviously a lot more. Where have we seen you before?
This summer, I've been at Bell Road Barn, which is out in Parkville.
Which one did you do up there?
It was A Murder Is Announced. It was actually directed by Caitlin, who did, fantastic job. I did, and then there were None, which is another Agatha Christie show, and that was out at slightly off Broadway and Excelsior. And then we just finished up with Dial In for Murder, which is out at River City Community Players, and that's in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yeah, that's what is his name again? I've interviewed him. The gentleman who runs.
Ron?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Ron's incredible. Yeah, great guy.
So. Oh, good. So that's everyone now.
Yeah.
Okay. Biggest challenge for the director in this? Just keeping everyone on point?
I think the biggest challenge for this particular production is finding the humor, because it's so funny, but there's also these moments that can be kind of tender if you really want them to be. So I think it's kind of finding that balance, like finding that balance between the comedy and making it to where people actually still kind of come away with the point of the show and kind of feeling like just the happiness of the holidays and kind of wanting to leave being better people than what they came in, hopefully.
Maybe being richer people.
Richer people.
Now, how does this relationship develop? I don't want you to give anything away, of course, but as much as you can, how does this relationship develop between Mrs. Cratchit? Because in the original script by Dickens, she doesn't care that much for him.
No, and I think it's the fact that maybe she's very overwhelmed with her husband, who's got the great big heart, who talks about his great big heart all the time, and it makes her a little crazy. And maybe she starts hallucinating, maybe she doesn't, who knows what's going on, but in the end we find out that Mr. Scrooge likes to watch quite a bit. He's very voyeuristic, and she kind of falls into tune with that, and tries to escape her nameless children.
Mr. Scrooge enjoys the meanness and the corruption.
Well, he always did.
I can vouch for that. Yeah.
No matter who it is. He's always there to enjoy the play out of what's going on and cannot give up on that. That's his favorite.
So you went from an Agatha Christie to this. Did this have a special appeal? You must have had some idea of what you wanted to do with it.
Well, I liked that it's based on a classic. I like doing classics. And I liked that it was a take on it that a lot of people probably haven't seen, and it's a really unique version of the story. So I think that's kind of what drew me to it.
Okay. Yeah, what about Brandis?
Yes.
Yes. What about, and get close to the microphone.
Yeah.
What about your part of this? You have an important part. You have to walk this gentleman through redemption.
Yeah. It's quite a journey.
And I'm not easy.
Especially being all three ghosts. Usually you would see, like in Christmas Carol, it's going to be like 3 separate people, but I get to be all of them, and I get to just hopefully redeem this man, and maybe he'll learn a lesson. Doesn't seem so if he's got Mrs. Bob Cratchit, and down the line, like, she interferes with my work as well. So, I mean,
you should walk both of them through redemption.
I mean, I might have a little bit of help to help me do that, but people will just have to come find out if they actually do get redeemed or not.
Sure. Well, well, you always wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shows being what they are,
Yeah.
you kind of assume they will, but I guess we shouldn't assume.
No.
Yeah, you know what happens when we assume, of course. What about Emma? Yeah, tell me about being an unnamed child.
Well, our parents aren't really able to afford food for us, so we're very hungry.
We all are.
Yeah. And what about, don't you ask me for a name at some point? And
Oh, yeah, I asked her for a name, and she refuses to give me a name.
Really?
Yeah.
They have names in the original story. Was there a point behind him not naming them in this show?
I offered to give her a name, but
you didn't offer to give that one a name. It was a different one.
I think it was just a throwaway, like, hey, we can. Okay.
Well, when you have that many, it's hard to.
Exactly. See, he understands.
It's easier to keep count when they're just numbers.
Yeah.
Names throw everyone off.
Well, how do you feel about Scrooge when he gets maybe too involved with your family?
Oh, is that to me?
Yeah. I know, we can't see each other very well. You're kind of behind.
My boss is great. He's a great guy. He's an upstanding individual. So, I think the first time that you see us together, it's pretty clear who has the power and who doesn't.
Oh, so. Do you do this in full costume and all of that?
Yes, so there'll be full costumes. We'll have sets. Now, the set changes are really super fast, and there's quite a few of them. So it's going to be set pieces that are hopefully on wheels that we can kind of roll off and roll on as needed to keep the momentum and the pace of the show coming along.
Okay.
It'll be really fun, though. It's going to be fast-paced. I mean, the audience should really enjoy it,
for sure. Just all-out comedy all the time.
Pretty much. And everyone kind of gets their own version of their happy ending at the end. Their own individual character-driven version of their happy ending.
That's very difficult to do, because that's so unlike real life.
Very much so.
Yes.
Well, was it easier to do Agatha Christie, where we had planned demises, or do this one?
That's a good question. They both have had their challenges. I think the hardest part of Agatha Christie was actually staging the murder and getting that to go off and stage that correctly in a way that made it believable. And so I think in a way this one, there's no food that everyone has to actually eat, so that's also nice. And Agatha Christie, we had to have a chocolate cake every night, so that got kind of fun. And then there's no murder in this one, so that's good. So there's no staging of any murders or anything. So I think... Yeah, right. We'll see how that ends up by the end of the process. But I think that they both have the unique challenges. But I think in terms of which one would probably be easier staging-wise, it would probably be this one just because everyone's just having fun with it. They have more freedom to, I think, kind of be freer in their movement. Okay. Now, as you walk Scrooge, Brandis, through, you go to the past first, then the present, then the future. Who does he visit in the past?
He's an incompetent.
Well, funny story.
Well, I hope so.
I mean, kind of. Well, she wants to take him to the past.
Oh.
But she ends up somehow still in the present.
I see.
So they're supposed to go see the Fezziwigs, but they're actually at the Cratchit's house. So
I actually like Fezziwigs.
Yeah. Well, like, she's like, we're supposed to be here, but then she runs into Mrs. Bob Cratchit, but and somehow Mrs. Bob Cratchit can see her and Scrooge, and she's not supposed to. And so it's all due to this device that the ghost has that just keeps messing up everything.
Is it kind of like a smartphone? Or?
No, well, it's kind of like taser.
A taser?
Yeah. To keep Scrooge in line.
Oh, well, he needs to be.
Yeah. So and it gets into different time periods where it's like we go to the 70s and come back or whatever. So a lot of it, as we don't necessarily go in order because the ghost keeps messing it up. But, I mean, everything happens, so to speak, all good.
You have help messing it up.
She has a very difficult time at the end trying to come up with a moral for the story.
I see. Sounds like that might be the case. Anyone want to add to what about Mrs. Cratchit? Do you have anything to say about this?
Oh, my heavens. I don't even know. I think some people would call her belligerent. I say that she's frustrated and she needs an appropriate outlet in which to take out her frustration. Because obviously with the kids and all of that. But I think that the fun part about the show is that you still kind of travel through the different scenes that you see in A Christmas Carol. You still see the Fezziwigs, who is actually played by her dad and my other half. And we see the Beetle, except in a very different way than what you're used to. So there's some really entertaining pieces that really do pull from the Christmas Carol, and then there are some parts that are just pulled like you don't even understand how they made their way into the show, but it makes it fun and it does keep it light. It's still a very like PG-13 type of show, just because of the themes, because Mrs. Cratchit, understandably having 13 kids, likes to drink a little bit. 13. Thus the binge part of it. 13, 21, 47, I can't remember. But, you know, she likes to imbibe every once in a while, being that she has so many children she can't feed. And when you've got 20 children that are starving all the time, you can imagine how much they won't shut up about it.
You sound like the woman who lives in a shoe.
Oh my gosh, that's totally what it is. Robert, stop bringing home children. Yeah.
Is it because of his good nature? Or
if you don't believe me, just ask me.
Speaking with, the cast of the Blue Springs Theater production of Mrs. Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge. That infers too much to drink. Does that happen?
Not enough to drink. Not when you have 21 children.
21? Now it's up to 21. It was
something
13.
Like that.
Wow.
I'll keep this one. The rest of them can go.
You didn't want to stop with the 3 that you had?
I fortunately didn't have to carry all of those children. He just finds them on the street somewhere.
I see. Is Tiny Tim in this one at all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not so tiny, yeah.
Not so Tiny Tim.
That's something you'll have to come to the show to see.
Okay, we take artistic license, I guess, then, with the characters.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. There's some references to that, cross-references that some people will get names that.
It's called Mrs. Bob Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge. It opens on Friday, December 6th at 7:30. Performances then continue on Saturday the 7th at 7:30. A matinee on Sunday the 8th at 2. Then performances continue on Saturday, December 14th. I wrote down 2, but it's probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
2 o'clock and a 7:30. It's a 2-show day.
Okay, that's on the 14th. Okay.
Yep.
The 14th, 2 shows, 2 in the afternoon and 7:30 in the evening. Then closes on Sunday the 15th with an afternoon matinee at 2 o'clock p.m. at the Blue Springs Theater, which is located at Blue Springs High School, 2000 Northwest Ashton Drive. It's on the northwest corner of what is Blue Springs High School. The number to call, the Stu 9 number, okay to give out? It's not your personal
No, it's not my personal. I double-checked. The number's okay to give out.
816-295-7331 or online at bluespringscitytheater.com. Blue Springs has a lot of volunteer opportunities. Are you all set for this particular show?
We're more than happy to take more volunteers for this show. We always need ushers, people to come do that. And if you do usher, you get to see the show for free. So that's always kind of a nice incentive. Yeah. So if you want to get involved, feel free to reach out. We'll always be happy to have volunteers.
Well, after this show is over with, what do they have coming up in the new year? 2020.
I think their next production, I hope I'm not wrong, but I believe it's Stuart Little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're specializing in more children's-oriented shows?
Actually, this is the first children's show involving children that I've done. Uh-huh. Next, I'm doing The Grapes of Wrath with the City Theater of Independence. So that's going to be, again, a total 360.
Are you directing that?
I am, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what kind of approach do you take to such a... Oh, you feel so sorry for those people.
Right, it's definitely a heavy show. I think it's going to be kind of a mix of trying to find those moments that can be a little bit more lighthearted and try to ease up the intensity of that show just a little bit in certain parts so that it's not so heavy the entire time. I think that's going to be the challenge of that.
So you've gone from an Agatha Christie mystery to this show, which is more fun-loving, to the very dramatic and you're talking about the lack of rain in Oklahoma and how that affects those people, and they have to head west from there, and all the sadness that goes into that. But they head towards new lives, which is why a lot of the people hit the trails, as they say, back in the 1800s, to head west for a better life.
Yes, there's definitely a strong message of hope, and that's an aspect of the show that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Is that you're rooting for this family the entire time. You want to see them succeed.
Yeah, so this particular show here, the Mrs. Cratchit show, that's a departure from you, really.
It is. It's a little different. I typically try to go more towards the dramas, but I've really enjoyed working on this, and I really like doing comedy, so I look forward to hopefully being able to do another one in the future.
Well, to keep the pattern, then after Grace, you'll have to do a comedy.
Right.
Go back and forth.
Just alternate every other show. Comedy, drama, comedy, drama.
Yeah. Actors have been known to say, drama is easy. Comedy is hard.
Comedy, I think, in my own personal opinion, is harder because there's so much comedic timing and things that go into comedy that I don't think people often realize.
Is there special effects in this show? I mean, The Christmas Carol is known for its special effects.
There will be quite a few light and sound effects that I'm hoping that we can get added in to kind of throughout the scene changes and things like that. So there's going to be some fun surprises.
Yeah, what's the most ironic thing about Scrooge in the show? There's some ironic moments of that for that character.
Well, he does not exactly think the ghost is as confident as a ghost should be, and he's given incentive to think better of that.
What's he know about ghosts?
Well, he considers Marley just a piece of undigested mutton.
Maybe
or perhaps his word still fermenting rice-a-roni.
That's true.
So he doesn't think much of the ghost.
Are you going on to do some other shows after this? Yeah, you're retired now.
Yeah, I'm retired now. I did Wonka last year, and I've done about 10 shows with Raytown or Blue Springs and City Theaters.
We only have a few minutes. Josh, anything coming up for you?
I think we end on the 15th, and then on the 16th I go to Pyre Productions and start working on Streetcar. So it'll be fun.
All right. Well, that's also very serious.
Oh yeah. So it's kind of with a newer company, so I'm just very excited to, kind of join them and
Good experience, Brandis.
After this, I will be doing a stage reading of Stuffed Buffalo Productions at the Buffalo Room. We're going to be doing, I think it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, certainly you're into the holiday spirit.
Yeah, if you need somebody to read, I love you.
Jer?
I don't know. I might be trying out for Grapes of Wrath. I tend to get typecasted into the mean-spirited lady crazy roles, so drama would be fun for a change because I usually tend up being pretty rambunctious throughout the entire show. But if that doesn't pan out, I'm going to audition. We're having The Drowsy Chaperone over the summer at Blue Springs City Theater. So
that's a fun show to do. What about Emma?
I plan to audition for the next Blue Springs City Theater production.
Wait, which one is that?
Stuart Little.
Okay. Stuart Little. All right. All very busy. And the shows begin on Friday, December the 6th, so you have another week or two to make your plans. Performances then continue on Saturday the 7th, Sunday the 8th. The afternoon shows are at 2. The evening shows are at 7:30. 2 shows on Saturday the 14th, 2 in the afternoon, and 7:30 at night. Then it closes out on Sunday the 15th with a matinee at 2 o'clock p.m. at the Blue Springs City Theater's place at Blue Springs High School. It's on the northwest corner, 2000 Northwest Ashton Drive. The number to call for more information is 816-295-7331. BlueSpringsCityTheater.com. I want to thank all of you for being with us. Caitlin Tomina, the director, Jim DeFries as Scrooge, Jer McDermott as Mrs. Cratchit, Brandis Outlaw, Emma Freeman, John and Josh Jackson, all in the Blue Springs City Theater production of Mrs. Bob Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge. Opening on December 6th at the Blue Springs High School. Thanks so much for
Thank you.
making the journey over.
come see us. Go Chiefs!
Yep.
Yeah, the Jazz Insider is coming up next. He has some great jazz for you to play. We'll have jazz from 1 to 3. We'll have the blues from 3 to 6 right here on your community radio station, 90.1 FM KKFI, Kansas City's community radio. So until next we meet, ladies and gentlemen, at that crossing the road, I'm Michael Hogue. We'll see you next time.